My company's HR taped my photo to the wall. Terminated for eating at her desk. Do not rehire, I didn't argue. At 9:03 a.m., a federal agent sat in our boardroom. He listened as the HR head proudly explained the firing. The agent then read one line aloud from a binder. Our lawyer's hand started to shake. I worked at DataCore Solutions for 8 years as a compliance officer. My job, making sure our company followed all the government rules for our federal contracts. I was the invisible person who kept everything running smoothly while everyone else took credit. One Tuesday at 12:04 p.m., I sat at my desk eating tuna salad from a Tupperware container. Nothing fancy, just lunch while I worked. That's when Sarah from HR appeared at my cubicle like a vulture in business casual. "You know this isn't a cafeteria, right?" she said, pointing at my food like it was radioactive waste. I was confused. "I'm not cooking. I'm just eating." She smiled that fake smile HR people practice in mirrors. Health code violation. Come see me when you're done. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in her lavender-scented office. A folder with my name already printed on it sat on her desk. She told me I was being terminated for repeated violations of workspace hygiene policies. I signed the form without arguing, but as I left, I saw something taped to the break room wall. A printout of my badge photo with red marker scrawled across it. Terminated, unauthorized eating, do not rehire. People stared. Someone laughed. I kept walking. Here's what nobody at DataCore knew. I wasn't just any compliance officer. I was the named monitor on 6 massive federal contracts worth over $160 million. That's a fancy way of saying the government had approved me specifically to oversee these projects. Without me, those contracts had a problem. Before I left the building, I forwarded one email to my personal account, a memo about an unsigned compliance form that had been sitting ignored for weeks. Then I walked out. That night, I read the contract fine print. Buried in there was Clause 17B. If a named monitor is terminated for internal misconduct during an active contract, the entire grant becomes non-compliant immediately. Federal funds get frozen. By firing me for a policy violation, DataCore had just triggered a $160 million breach. Within 48 hours, the government agency started asking questions. Where was the replacement monitor? Why wasn't a transition documented? DataCore scrambled. Their new compliance guy had been there 3 weeks and didn't even have the right clearances yet. The freeze came fast. $40 million locked down pending investigation. That's when they called the emergency board meeting. At 9:03 a.m., a federal agent in a gray suit walked into the boardroom. Sarah was there, dressed in her best blazer, ready to defend her decision. The CEO asked the agent to explain the situation. Sarah jumped in first, speaking confidently about their zero-tolerance policy for behavioral infractions and how my termination was about professionalism, not performance. The agent said nothing. He just opened his binder slowly and read one sentence aloud. Clause 17B, subsection D, termination of named monitor during active audit cycle, regardless of internal justification, constitutes immediate breach of federal compliance protocol and triggers mandatory funding freeze. He looked up. Miss Martinez's clearance was active when you fired her. No succession was filed, and you classified it as misconduct, which makes it worse. He closed the binder. You'll have a full review team here by Friday. Across the table, the company lawyer's pen slipped from his shaking hand and clattered to the floor. Sarah's face went white. The CEO opened his mouth, but no words came out. The agent stood up. Expect instructions within 48 hours. All communications go through external counsel now. Then he left. The CEO resigned 2 days later. Sarah was reassigned by Friday. The funding freeze never lifted. It eventually grew to $60 million as more violations were uncovered. The best part? The government required DataCore to hire an external oversight firm with no conflicts of interest. I'd already registered my own consulting company the day I was fired. Last week, I sent DataCore an invoice for $51,450 for federal compliance resuscitation. Today at 12:01 p.m., I ate a turkey sandwich at my desk in my new office. When my assistant told me DataCore was calling, I smiled and said, "Tell them I'm eating."